Currently, the United States military is maximizing their operations in Iran, not only by destroying missile stockpiles, launchers, and Iran's defense industry infrastructure, but also by testing new and never-before-seen weapons against their enemy. 3 new weapons in particular were used and caused severe damage to Iranian targets, a clear testament to the unparalleled power of the United States on the global stage and their ongoing dedication to innovating, expanding, and enhancing their arsenal. Today, we will take a closer look at these 3 weapons, examining their technical capabilities, capacities, and conclusions, how they were actually used in Iran. But before we begin, if you're new to our channel, make sure to subscribe so you'll always be updated with videos like this. The first and perhaps the most exciting among the 3 is the Precision Strike Missile, better known as PRSM. The story of this missile began in 2016, when several major defense companies, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Raytheon, announced their plans to join a new U.S. Army project. The goal of this project is to replace the MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System, more commonly known as ATACMS. The ATACMS has been in use since 1991 and has proven its effectiveness in various wars over the years, including Operation Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom. In more recent times, it has also been seen in war between Russia and Ukraine, where Ukrainian forces used it in major attacks against important enemy targets, such as Russia's air defense systems and ammunition depots. But no matter how effective a weapon is, there will come a time when it needs to be replaced. And the U.S. Army is always looking for ways to further strengthen its offensive capabilities. They want a missile that surpasses the destructive power of the ATACMS. It can reach farther distances and travel faster. This is where the development of PRSM began. Eventually, Boeing and Raytheon withdrew from the project, leaving Lockheed Martin as the sole designer and developer of this missile. At first, Lockheed Martin planned for the missile to have a maximum range of approximately 310 miles or 500 kilometers. This is farther than the 190 miles or 300 kilometers of the ATACMS, but it still remained within the limitations of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty, an agreement signed by the U.S. and the Soviet Union in 1987. However, in 2019, the U.S. withdrew from this agreement, which opened up opportunities to further expand the capabilities of the PRSM. The former 310-mile limit was no longer the maximum, but instead became just a starting point. The Army announced plans to extend its range to over 400 miles, and possibly reach more than 600 miles in future versions. The best part is that it no longer needs new launchers to reach such long distances. It can be launched using the same M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS, the same system already used to fire the ATACMS. Because of its advanced proportions, the PRSM is faster and reaches farther than its previous version. Even more impressive, the design of the PRSM is slimmer and more streamlined. This means that 2 missiles can fit in each pod, unlike the ATACMS, which can only hold 1. So not only does the PRSM have double the range, but it also doubles the capacity of HIMARS launchers. In other words, the Army maintains the mobility of the HIMARS, while greatly increasing the firepower of each unit. This is a huge upgrade, and this is just the beginning. The U.S. Army has plans to further expand its capabilities in the coming years through various increments or versions that are currently being developed. Increment 1 is now being used by the U.S. Army and the Australian Army. This is the version with a fixed range of 310 miles in accordance with previous treaty limits. Increment 2 followed, also known as the Land-Based Anti-Ship Missile, or LBASM. This is more advanced because it has a multi-mode seeker that enables it to penetrate heavily defended or area-denied zones more effectively. It also has a longer range, reaching up to 620 miles or 1,000 kilometers. And as its name suggests, it can now attack ships. Because of the multi-mode seeker, it can even target moving targets. That's something the first version couldn't do. Increment 3, on the other hand, will further expand the types of weapons that the PRSM can carry. It's possible to add more powerful explosive munitions and submunitions, which will open up more options for offensive operations. It is also believed that this version will have enough power to destroy even the enemy's heavily fortified structures. In Increment 4, it is expected to double even further. The base range of the PRSM will be increased by improving its propulsion and aerodynamics to reach approximately 620 miles or more. And in Increment 5, the latest development is expected to enable the launch of the PRSM using autonomous vehicles. As these versions are gradually developed and integrated, the PRSM will become faster, have a longer range, and be more flexible, ready for a wider range of missions. But even now, it is already one of the most impressive new weapons of the United States. And this has already been proven by the forces of Iran during what is called Operation Epic Fury. Here, the precision strike missile was used for the first time in actual combat. This was confirmed by the official X account of the U.S. Central Command, where they stated that this was the very first time the long-range precision strike missiles were used in combat during Operation Epic Fury, providing unparalleled deep strike capability. Admiral Brad Cooper, head of the U.S. Central Command, also confirmed that the U.S. Army indeed used it against targets in Iran. According to him, I could never be more proud of our soldiers who use innovation to create significant challenges for the enemy. Meanwhile, Patricia Bazilchik from the Center for Strategic and International Studies emphasized the importance of this event. According to her, the debut of the precision strike missile is a sign of the beginning of a new era in the Army's strike capability with greater range and higher accuracy. And she is right. Although we don't have exact details about which particular target in Iran was hit by the precision strike missile, one thing is clear. This gives a huge tactical advantage to American forces. Because it can reach almost twice the distance compared to ATACMS, the precision strike missile can hit more and farther targets. This means Iran has to watch out for more possible directions of attack, and they have to protect more critical locations and assets. Meanwhile, America has the freedom to choose different launch points from Iraq to various parts of the Gulf states. In addition, as a ballistic missile, the precision strike missile can fly at extremely high speeds, especially in the final stage of its flight as it approaches the target. Because of this, it is perfect against time-sensitive targets, such as Iran's air defense systems and missile launchers. Although it is not certain, there is a high possibility that the U.S. Army used these missiles in the initial wave of the operation to quickly cripple Iran's air defense capability in a short period of time by destroying missile platforms and radar sites, creating a clearer and safer path for subsequent attacks. At the same time, Iran's airspace is also opened up, allowing American aircraft to enter more safely. And this isn't just about Iran. The use of PRSM in actual combat is also a clear message from America to other potential adversaries in the world, including China and Russia, who are surely monitoring every move in this conflict. There is no doubt that it can be used. These missiles in future wars against either of these two countries, and especially in a possible confrontation against China, this gives the United States a significant strategic advantage. In fact, the PRSM was also designed with a possible conflict in the Indo-Pacific region in mind. Because of the geography of this area, there are limited possible locations for land-based missile systems. And if only conventional missiles like the ATAC-EMS are used, their range is not enough to reach some critical targets. But with the extended range and advanced capabilities of the PRSM, this becomes a bigger challenge for Chinese forces, while it strengthens the ability of America and its allies in maritime denial operations. In other words, the debut of the PRSM is a major success in more than one aspect. This proves the years of development and the huge investment poured into this project, and it brings the strike capability U.S. Army to a new level. And remember, this is just one of the 3 new weapons used in Iran. Before we break down the other 2, if this is the kind of analysis you want to watch, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Here on Noel Polo TV, we give clear explanations about these kinds of topics every week. On paper, the fight between America and Iran is not an even match. The United States is the leading military superpower in the world. They spend more on their military compared to the combined budgets of many countries. They have the best training, the most advanced equipment, and a history of successful war strategies. But Iran has one big advantage: their drones. In recent years, drone warfare has become increasingly important. In fact, Russia bought and produced a large number of Iranian Shahed drones, which they used in heavy attacks on various targets in Ukraine. Iran has been making this type of drone for a long time and has been developing this technology for decades. Because of this, they have a significant advantage over other countries when it comes to the production and use of drones in warfare. That's why when Operation Epic Fury began, some analysts were concerned that U.S. forces might not be prepared for the threat of Iranian drones. But America has a hidden ace, and its name is LUKAS, or Low Cost and Crude Combat Attack. Designed for the U.S. Armed Forces by the defense contractor Spectre Works, LUKAS is a one-way attack drone, a type of kamikaze drone based directly on Shahed technology. According to U.S. officials, a Shahed drone was obtained and studied by Spectre Works engineers in the early 2020s. From there, they subjected it to reverse engineering. They copied some parts of the design to create their own version for America. In other words, their own version underwent rapid progress. Just a few months after it was officially introduced in July 2025, the LUKAS drones were immediately deployed to U.S. forces in the Middle East. In December last year, a LUKAS drone was first launched in the Persian Gulf. And on February 28, the first day of Operation Epic Fury, it was used for the first time in actual combat. According to CENTCOM's statement, the LUKAS has a very wide range and it can operate autonomously. It can also be launched using different methods, such as catapults, rocket-assisted takeoff, and mobile ground or vehicle systems. In an interview with CNN, a U.S. defense official also admitted that America has long focused on bigger and more expensive weapons, which may have put them at a disadvantage against cheaper systems like Iran's Shahed drones. But through LUKAS, America is changing the game. Instead of relying solely on expensive missiles, they are now also using cheaper drones, which according to reports cost around $35,000 each to match Iran's tactics. This means they're using Iran's own strategy against it. It's still unclear exactly how many LUKAS drones the U.S. currently has, but according to officials, many are already available and even more are on the way. Because these are cheap and easy to make, and because of the large budget of the U.S. military, it's very possible that they will have an almost endless supply of this kind of drone, which they send directly to their forces in the Middle East. Although details about its exact technical capabilities are still limited, some experts have analyzed photos of the LUKAS drones to better understand them. And that's where they notice that these drones have nose-mounted gimbaled camera systems, as well as satellite connectivity modules that give them more advanced targeting and control capabilities. In theory, the LUKAS would be superior compared to the Iranian Shahed drones. Because of its satellite connectivity, operators can change the drone's mission even while it's already in the middle of its flight. For example, the target can be updated or changed, which is a huge advantage in a rapidly changing battle. In the future, this technology could also be used for AI-powered swarm tactics, where multiple drones move simultaneously in a coordinated attack using artificial intelligence. But even without this kind of advanced system right now, if the US has enough LUKAS drones, they can launch them simultaneously in groups to overwhelm Iran's radar systems and break through their defenses. Even more impressively, this can also be used to create safe pathways for more powerful weapons like U.S. and Israeli long-range missiles, allowing them to reach their targets more easily. Because of this, it becomes more possible for America and its allies to hit even the most protected and most important targets in Iran, such as strategic bunkers and nuclear facilities, more easily than before. And here's where a big irony comes in. The U.S. probably wouldn't have this kind of low-cost drone if it weren't for Iran. The Shahed drones are one of Tehran's proudest inventions, but America took this idea. They improved it, and now it's being used against the very place it came from. It's still unclear how much damage LUKAS has already caused to Iran, and how much worse it could get in the future. But one thing is certain, it has become a very important part of the US arsenal in this era where drone warfare is becoming more central around the world. And now, let's move on to the third and final new weapon used against Iran. An upgraded version of a well-known missile, the Tomahawk. The BGM-109 Tomahawk Land Attack Missile, or TLAM, is one of the most powerful missiles in the world. It is known for its extremely long-range and all-weather, jet-powered, subsonic cruise missile that can reach over 1,000 miles. It's not only the US Navy that uses it, but also the Royal Australian Navy, Royal Netherlands Navy, and British Royal Navy. But each country uses it in different ways. The US and Australia usually launch it from surface warships. The Netherlands, on the other hand, plans to use it on their frigates. Meanwhile, the British Royal Navy exclusively launches the Tomahawk from their submarines. Developed decades ago at the Applied Physics Laboratory of Johns Hopkins University, the Tomahawk first entered service in 1983. Since then, many versions have been developed from the original design, including the RGM Mach UGM-109B anti-ship variant, with active radar homing up to the RGM UGM-109E tactical Tomahawk. But even though their capabilities and specs differ, there is one thing they all have in common: their color. For many years, Tomahawk missiles have long been known for their pale gray color, a look commonly seen on many pieces of US Navy equipment. But when Operation Epic Fury began, there was something that surprised the world. In the first images released from the battlefield, experts noticed something: a Tomahawk missile that was black in color with a shiny finish. A stark contrast compared to the usual gray color. According to reports from the US military, this new version was used in attacks aimed at taking down Iran's air defenses and targeting maritime assets, possibly including naval bases near the Strait of Hormuz. Soon after, open-source intelligence analysts and media confirmed that the Black Tomahawk was indeed used in the initial wave of the operation. And this is where different theories from experts started to emerge about why this was given an unusual color. They noticed that the same Black Tomahawk coating is also used on another US Navy missile, the AGM-158C Long-Range Anti-Ship Missile, or LRASM. And according to their analysis, this is not just ordinary paint. This shiny black coating is believed to have low observable properties. It uses radar-absorbent materials and infrared suppression technology to make the missile harder to detect while it is flying. At first glance, it looks like a simple change in appearance, but in reality, this is a serious upgrade. This improves the missile's ability to avoid detection, especially during sea-skimming flight profiles, which increases its chances of penetrating defenses and successfully hitting the target. If the old gray Tomahawk was already hard to catch on radar, the black version makes the job even harder for Iran's air defense systems. Before, even if they spotted the missile early, they still had time to react. But now, it's like it disappears from the radar, especially while flying over the sea. In other words, Iran has less time left to respond, and the chances of the missile hitting its target are higher. The deployment of the Black Tomahawk is a clear sign of the US shifting its strategy toward more stealthy and advanced cruise missile capabilities. And because of this, their ability to strike hardened and distant targets deep inside enemy territory becomes more effective. It's also possible that these missiles were the key in the initial phase of the operation, especially in dismantling Iran's radar networks, which paved the way for subsequent attacks using drones and aircraft. And on Iran's side, it's likely they never even saw what hit them. Despite Iran's huge investments in radar and air defense systems, it's clear they weren't prepared for this kind of attack. A super stealthy Tomahawk that can slip through their defenses almost undetected before they can even react. From a broader perspective, this kind of missile strengthens America's deterrence capability, especially against threats at sea in the Persian Gulf and other strategic regions. The Black Tomahawk is not just an ordinary weapon, it's a clear warning. Proof that the United States can elevate its military technology in the most innovative and effective way. Just like the PRSM, this also shows how the US can improve its missiles without having to spend a huge amount of time, money, and resources to create new launch systems. faster, more practical, more lethal. Meanwhile, America's adversaries like China and Russia are surely looking for ways to counter these kinds of weapons, but if there's one thing the US has proven time and again, it's that they're always ahead. They're never content with being second, and they never stop strengthening their arsenal to maintain their position as one of the most powerful military forces in the world.